Greetings and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, tries to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. I am your acting captain, Clyde Haynes. How is a starship different from a warship? That's an interesting question, but a better question. How is a starship different from a podcast? It's the people. And with me today are...
have you ever killed someone? Paul Satachet.
Deep question, man. It's a deep question.
And I'm Mike Moody Garcia, and my new favorite fictional animal is the space dragon.
Nice. So today we're talking about what is Starfleet.
Wait, what happened to Mariah? What happened to Mariah?
Mariah is on an away mission. Our captain's on an away mission. She's been called back to San Francisco to the Starfleet headquarters to deal with some business.
There you go.
So hopefully,
don't tell me the Borg are back.
I hope not. She'll have some news for us, I'm sure, telling us all about the inner workings of Starfleet. So we are going to talk about what is Starfleet, which was directed by Sharon Lewis and written by Catherine Lynn and Alan B. McElroy. An interesting episode, wouldn't you say, guys?
Sure, that's a word.
Okay.
See the word. I love it. You know,
it was
all right, but
it was the same but different.
All right. Before we get into that, because I'm sure we're going to talk about that. It's going to be great. Can't wait to jump in that with you guys. And you know, we're going to miss Mariah. Hopefully, the podcast won't smell like a locker room with a bunch of guys kind of manning down the
down. How about personing down?
Personing down.
Why start with that imagery so soon?
Just, you know, Mariah keeps us saying, so if you're listening, good luck to you.
We apologize in advance.
Paul, why don't you remind listeners how they can listen to us?
Sure. You guys, you can subscribe to us and listen at Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. All links are at StarTrekPod.co. And if you care to, please consider joining our Patreon to get access to our amazing Slack community.
And Mike, you want to tell people how they can interact with the show live tonight?
Oh, yeah. If you want us to mention one of your comments in the live stream, just type in capital pod, capital P-O-D in front of your comment, and we'll try to mention it. And if you have a reaction that you want to share with us during the podcast about this episode of Strange New Worlds, type in HF at the beginning of your comment, and we will get to it when we get to that moment.
Speaking of that moment, why don't we take a moment and reflect on
Yay.
All right. So I would normally go, Mike, Paul, what was your hot freak? But instead of going to you guys, since we do miss our captain, why don't we... I'm curious what Mariah thought about this episode. So why don't we ask her? Mariah, what was your hot freak on this episode?
Hi, everyone. So sorry to miss tonight, but I just wanted to say my hot freak was that I think I'm ready for a non-bodily episode of the show. I'm ready to gear into what's happening in the back half of the season. I did think it was an interesting question to be posed. What is Starfleet? I'm not sure if it was as successful as I wanted it to be. I did enjoy the episode. Overall, enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a fun format change. I was like, oh, what if this was like the Parks and Rec version of Star Trek? That could have also been funny if it took a more comedic side to it. But I thought the format play was interesting and done well. I just think it could have gone deeper, especially because it was the shortest episode of the series so far. So use that extra time if you could to, I think, delve into those questions and have there be a little bit more space for that scene, especially at the end with Beto and Ahura, because I thought that was the most effective scene. But yeah, overall, it was fine. Not my favorite of the season, but the season's been really good so far. So high expectations always. And I will I will see you all next week. So live long and prosper. Bye.
All right, why don't we go to you, Mike? What did you think about this episode?
My hot freak. I just want to say Humberto Ortegas is a hack. a bad filmmaker. He's the Yui Boll of the 23rd century. Half of this guy's shots are ripped from security cams. The other half are like from an AI camera that he doesn't even control or influence. And he's like injecting himself into the story of his documentary from the very beginning. Umberto, I'm against AI filmmaking, as we all should be. And you, sir, are no Michael Moore. So if this is the future of filmmaking, you can keep it. You can keep it. That being said, the episode, I'm kind of in agreement with Mariah. It was good. It was fine. But then the final, actually, this is where she and I defer. The final act started, and it became really good. It became a story about sacrifice, loss, duty, and compassion. And it really worked on me. I got the feels towards the end. It was also about like taking risks to make rewarding connections, which is something that Star Trek has always been about. So I like that. Telling the story through this kind of faux documentary format felt fresh and different for the show, even though I don't like the idea that this is a documentary this guy made. I still thought it shook up the visual language of the show, like right in the middle of the season. So that was fun. So I appreciated that. It was not great, but not all bad, pretty solid. And I really appreciated the message at the end, which I think we'll dive into in a little bit.
Okay. Paul, what about you?
Not for me. Like, and here's what was funny. So I started watching it last night at 11:30 here, and I just kept on blacking out. I was like, oh, well, this is not going to work out. I'm just go sleep. I'll watch it tomorrow. I come back home at 5:00. It's like really hot in my house. I don't have central AC. I'm not in the best mood to watch. And so my wife and I, we just start watching, and I'm going like, it's just as bad as last night. And then at the end comes, I'm like, oh my god, it's just. And then I turn around, and my wife is tearing a little bit, and I'm going like, and she's a Trekkie, like so it's
yeah.
I think I think divisive is probably the best word for this. Like, it's not a matter of good or bad. Like I per this episode, I will tear it apart probably for what I didn't like about it, but obviously there are some people who react pretty strongly to this. So like I'm not going to negate their experience either. So, but I don't think it was quite for me, and I have tons of reasons why it wasn't for me. But there you go. That's me.
I think for me, I'm probably somewhere in the middle, but maybe a touch closer to Paul. I thought it was an okay episode. Like I don't have any major complaints about it. Like I didn't look at the episode and go, man, I am so disappointed. Like I can't believe they did this. But I didn't look at the episode and was like, man, that was a banger. I want to watch it 3 times. Like I thought about it. Like I was thinking to myself, if I hadn't had, a rough afternoon and a rough early evening, I would have been like, let me jump on to the watch along with our Patreon crew and rewatch it with them. Like I thought about it and then I was like, I'm good. Right. And I think part of that was I like when people go to the documentary style. I think it can add something. And that we see this all the time. The one that pops out in my mind is actually Starship Troopers. But I think that the idea behind the documentary style is, hey, we're gonna say something, we're gonna have a discussion, and we're gonna give you a perspective that you don't normally get. And I thought they tried to do that when you saw like Beto looking around the corner and listening in on the conversation between Una and Pike. But overall, I didn't think it landed well. And I think my biggest issue is you have this incredible premise, a premise that I don't think has been actually discussed in Star Trek before. And that is the Federation is about space exploration, but this idea of how is a starship fundamentally different than a warship was an interesting question. And I don't think you really went there, right? So when I think about Ad Astra
Aspera,
Aspera, which is one of my favorite episodes. Paul knows.
Always go into that.
Oh, it's like my favorite Strange New Worlds episode. They asked a question that really got into this idea of augmentation, right? And I thought they did a great job of getting in there and talking about it and discussing it. And it had layers to it. That's what I was expecting with this. Oh, how is a starship different than a warship? Like, you say that you're a starship and you're all about exploration, but look at all these guns. I just didn't think it landed. And I was like, I feel like you left a lot out.
I'm sorry, you're still going.
No, good.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
I hear what you're saying. I think the question of, is this a starship or a warship? Is Starfleet really a fleet of colonizers? I think that those questions were teased at the beginning, but that's not really what this episode wanted to be about or ended up being about. Because those questions, the way the episode ending up framing those questions was, oh, those questions were asked by this filmmaker who is upset about his sister leaving him and getting sick or getting hurt. And he had an agenda, right?
Mhm.
And that agenda was well, that character was kind of copped to it at the end with the scene between Umberto and Uhura, right? And so that kind of sucked the weight out of those questions. And I think this story, but on the other hand, the story did end up being about how Starfleet is really about people stepping into the unknown, no matter how risky and dangerous the unknown can be, and building bridges and powerful connections with others, even when those others might be your enemy, which I think is a wonderful thing for Star Trek to remind us of in 2025. I don't think this, even though the episode started with those compelling questions about, is Starfleet out here for exploration or for war? Those are very compelling questions, but I think we all kind of know we know the answer to that. For the past 50 years, Star Trek has kind of been answering that question, even though I think it has brought that question up before directly in shows like Star Trek Picard. I think even Discovery brought that up every now and then. And maybe even in the 90s shows, sometimes they would bring an outside character in and they would see Starfleet as a military outfit instead of an exploration first outfit. So yeah, I think this is kind of like well-trodden territory that wasn't really expanded upon very much here, and it ended up being more about why is this filmmaker, what is his axe to grind, and why is he doing it? Let's heal him emotionally, and let's remind the viewers how Starfleet is full of good people, which was okay.
Yeah, I like what Kern said in the chat. He said, very mixed feelings. As a journalist, I gagged watching Beto and his highly inappropriate technique. He's no Jake Sisko.
He's no Jake Sisko.
Now,
no.
I will say that I have many a times recommended Deep Space Nine to my friends, and they've watched it, and invariably, time and time again, he goes, "It's great, but what the fuck is up with Jake? He sucks, dude." and
Jake's harsh, man.
And then there every now and then he goes out of nowhere, goes, "Another Jake episode."
There's 3 Jake episodes, and one of them is great, mainly because Jake is mostly played by, oh gosh, what's his name from Tony Todd in most of the episode. But yeah,
there was a good Jake episode. Is whenever you put Nog in there, Nog is my favorite character, and it's the Valiant where Jake is, and and then but for all of it, I feel like this episode had three parallel things to it. There's what was actually happening, there was the documentary, and then there was the meta of what it was trying to say. And just from a very what was happening aspect, first of all, I love space kaiju. Great. Coming out of the water and it coming, I go I was going, this doesn't feel very Star Trek to me, because like like in like Next Gen they go, oh my god, that animal, it's living in space, oh my god, that's so amazing. But like all of a sudden they go, oh well, here's this ocean monster coming out of the ocean and flying. Like, anyway, it doesn't matter. So
I
Space
like that
Kaiju comes
call,
out. I'm
Space
going like,
Kaiju. I like
but
that.
it looks amazing. Like the production value is so freaking high. I'm going like, I'm not into this as far as Star Trek lore, but I am into this because like you have sold it with your, it is so. I'm like, whoa,
It
that
looked
is,
really good.
yeah,
The Lutani
Yeah.
look and makeup was
Yeah.
extremely
yeah.
impressive. Once again, another like gorgeous looking one-off alien. I just beautiful. Yeah.
But then,
with
you,
a combined 3 minutes of screen time. But yes.
Yeah.
but you break it down and you go like, okay, so let me get this straight. What happened is these guys needed Starfleet to track to haul this like space Godzilla, space Mothra. I
Mothra.
apologize. Yeah,
Yes,
like
yes.
to a different system. And then this one ship messes that up. You find out that they're genetically engineered this monster, and then they bring their own ship. I go, why do you even need Starfleet? You brought your own freaking
because I think they knew it. I think they knew it was dangerous, and they were trying to get Starfleet to take on the danger. And thank you, Paul. I can't unsee Mothra now. Thank you for that. Like you took this beautiful butterfly, like space butterfly, and now all I see is Mothra.
Space Mothra. No, but
thank you.
Space Dragon.
And then there's part where he goes, okay, like we need what you call it, the Enterprise to shoot at me, so then I chase you into the sun. What? what just happened?
They really strained at the end there with with that idea of like, I need you to shoot at me so I can sacrifice myself. They strained to really ram down that theme down our throats that, oh, also the Starfleet, the Enterprise crew has to sacrifice and do something hard here as well. They have to push this thing into the sun. So yeah,
it is this aspect where I'm going like, the plot should be the easy part. This should not be like all the themes and stuff like that, all the messaging and like all the that should be where you're, like the acrobatics. This is very simple. You can just go here to there, A to B to these to star. Oh, sad, like want. That's all it needs to be.
But I do find this show does trip up with the plotting sometimes. They make it a little overly complicated or hard to believe sometimes.
Yeah, I think one. I'll say this. This is a moment where I really miss Grant. For those of you who know, Grant was one of the co-hosts a couple years ago. What I miss about Grant was Grant had seen any Trek, and so I would love to know how someone who's never seen any of the old Trek responds to this, because I think my issue is I think you had two potentially great episodes here that you combined into one. Like, I think if you had focused on this idea of, is it a military or is it NASA? And really went with that.
Sure.
That could have been an interesting, like we always talk about the courtroom episodes. Like that could have been a really interesting discussion.
But they didn't want to do that. Like, yeah.
You can't handle
and then and then on the other hand, to both of your points, we've seen, again, I love 90s Trek. We've seen we discovered a space alien and now we have to figure out how to communicate and what do we do and is it sentient? And like that is its whole episode on its own.
It's its own mini genre.
Right. And so I'm like, you took two possibly fantastic episodes and you squished them and you tried to glue them with this idea of, well, we also have this alien race that is trying to use another race as a weapon to fight their war. Like that's three concepts that any one of those would have been a banger of an episode.
I hear what you're saying with like, there were two episodes mashed together, but not very well. But I still think if you're saying that these could have been two different episodes, I think they would have been two pretty unsuccessful episodes. Like, because we know Star Trek, even people who don't watch Star Trek know Star Trek is about good people on a spaceship trying to help other people. So if the
with the
if the episode purported to be about, you know, diving into whether or not Starfleet is a military war crime machine, you know, that's a false premise, because we know it's not, and it's never going to be, and the show's never going to tell us that. But and if it was just another one of these stories where they meet this somewhat threatening space dragon out, and they have to communicate with it in order to solve the problem, we've seen that so many times, and it would just kind of felt like a retread. Putting them together, those two stories together, was interesting because they were trying to really tie the themes of those two types of stories together. But all in all, I don't think it said anything really new or different than old episodes that we've seen. And also, like, even though I appreciated the look of the documentary style, it was fun and different, it didn't really do anything for us. Like when Umberto was hiding around the shadows and getting those shots or whatever, if this was a normal episode, we would have heard and seen that stuff anyway, right? So,
like, for me, like, looking at the documentary, the formatting, I go like, I'm not a person who loves documentaries, but I go like, this is bad filmmaking, right? Like, you see Captain Pike's like name way in the corner. He's there. I'm going like my eyes all over the place. My eye has fatigue now just by trying to read your names. Like, he's a bad filmmaker.
He is a bad filmmaker. Yes, he's very bad. And most of the shots were like, all the action shots are like pretty close up to everybody, but then the interview shots, it's like an episode of Mr. Robot where everybody's like in the corner and it's all just negative space. Come on, Umberto, go to film school.
But maybe that's the aesthetic in the 22nd century. I don't know.
Well, I'm curious about something.
Yeah,
so you mentioned your wife. You looked around and your wife was emotional.
Yep.
I'm gonna feel terrible saying this.
Yeah.
Can you guys help me understand? Did I miss something? I did watch it late last night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was excited to see the episode.
See, I got the feel.
I missed it. That
worked for me. Because
what did I miss?
What helped me with that, what helped me get there emotionally, was that the story ended up being centered on Uhura. And it kind of framed her as the best of Starfleet, someone who leads with compassion, who leads with understanding, who leads with sympathy for others, even when the others are threatening her. And she, throughout the entire episode, she's willing to advocate for this space dragon and sacrifice to help it. That's a big part of what Starfleet is. And so it was mostly centered on her and her actions to be such a empathetic advocate for this thing, which is going to get me every time. And also it ended up being about, like I said earlier, about building bridges and connections with others, right? Instead of just fighting your enemy, you know, like kind of what we talked about. Was it last week with the Kirk-led episode? Yeah. When, you have to have compassion and some kind of empathy for the people you're fighting, or else, you might just turn into a warmonger. So those ideas got me there, emotionally in this episode.
Oh.
I think she started, I think she's tearing up. It was like it's not like she's watching like a Thai sad commercial, like, the ones that are designed to make you cry. But like
the ones that Kumail Nanjiani.
Exactly. So in this one, I think, here is this like Space Mothra going like, kill me.
It's sad.
and having Uhura say it, like, it's just very, she delivered the line well. It's I get it. And then there's all that, like, here's what we are, Starfleet, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think that. I feel like there were pieces that would have made a very effective episode. I think, like, for example, to go to your, like, what is Starfleet? Is Starfleet good guys or bad guys? If it was a really interesting, like, if it was a border dispute or a planetary dispute between, like, like some land or some resources and blah blah blah, you can make a real good argument for that. And if you knew that he was already like anti Federation, from the jump. Like, if we had set them up, like, this would be a really interesting thing to watch. Or, oh, here's another perspective of how you could twist the facts of of what you see. They did this in Babylon 5, where they had a few documentary episodes, but one episode after the bad president became president, it was all spin, and it made Babylon 5 seem like this alien.
Yeah.
And I go, and
That
like,
was great.
yeah, and you just watch it, you're like, oh, this fits within the canon, the lore, what they've established what would happen, and it was just really good documentary propaganda-esque thing. Whereas this Umberto's perspective came from, like, you have like what, 3, maybe 4 episodes of them, and they're all kind of like, hey, I'm just a kid, and here's my sister, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden, like, is Starfleet a conquering force? Is it basically the Terran Empire? Like, you're like, oh, come on, dude.
His perspective was not credible from jump at all.
And here's the thing: it's probably consistent because he's just a kid.
Yeah,
it's probably, but it didn't make good television for me. So that's my hot take. It's really like, it's probably, I suppose, documentaries episode in general and all of TV have the liberty of making some interesting commentaries, like in Community, for example, the Abbott documentaries. I love them. They're funny, they take a different perspective, blah 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 blah. No notes. Here I go like, oh, you could have done something. So I guess I'm frustrated because I feel like it's a wasted opportunity. Like, I feel like there was a right way to do this, especially if it was a bottled episode, like with no real consequences to the overall story arc. Like, you could have done the thing that you wanted to do. You just chose to go with space kaiju, which I love, but it wasn't the right time. Not the right time for Godzilla.
Yeah, they didn't use the documentary format to really say anything, like that Babylon 5 episode you mentioned. Ultimately, they ended up saying, "Oh, this kid who's making this documentary is hurt."
Oh,
that was it.
And one more thing, one last thing, and the other thing, and I said this the last time, like way back, where like there is like Ortegas, and she gets all jacked up because she gets stabbed by a Gorn, and like I hope they don't make it really lame. And if this is her resolution to that, not cool. I'm
cool. Wondering about that. Do you guys think? Do you guys think that's a resolution?
No, listen, I'm with Paul. I was looking at that and going, it's got to be more, right? Like we talked about this. The in that episode, that emotion and that moment, and where she was in the following episode, popping off at Una and all of that stuff, I'm expecting there to be some serious resolution, some conflict. Like, she's got to overcome and get healed. Like, it, Mike, we talked about Discovery, and I think there was a whole thing with Kayla, right? Or that's who it was. Like, she struggled and had to come to terms with the I can do this, and that was built up, and I was like, okay, I get it. Detmer, like, right? Detmer, yes. Like, I got that. Like that. Like I said, okay, I can see she's gone through this traumatic thing. Her confidence is shook, and we have to be with her in this process of her overcoming that. If I'm with you, Paul, if that was the resolution, you missed it.
Yeah, like
for me, you missed it.
Here's the thing that, like, one of the things that I think on this pod we've said many times, like, we really like Ortegas. We want more Ortegas. Like, she's really cool. We, let's give her some stuff. And basically, you stab her. She has PTSD, and what has happened thus far, if this is the end of that journey, is she had a timeout off screen, and now she's okay. That really does her dirty.
Interesting way to look at it.
You know what else is worse about that? What makes it worse is that her pain and struggle and difficulty with this is supposedly what made her brother make this attack documentary on Starfleet. But we didn't really get to see her pain and struggle, so it doesn't really work. Yeah.
So I got to be honest, not only did it not work, I missed that. I
Mm,
assumed that this
mm.
was about her mother, but you're right. There was a moment where she says, "And you upset because your sister was hurt." I thought it
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, she's hurt because you took away from her mother." If that's what we're talking about, that he's upset that she got hurt, that
It was
did
it
not
was both
land
it
for
was
me.
both things.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
fact
that
that
didn't land
it
for
took
me.
the fact that Starfleet took her away, and the fact that it's putting her in danger and hurt her. Yeah.
So here's the thing: all this storyline stuff might already be in the stuff on the cutting room floor. That like it might have been actually well executed, but like I can only judge what I've seen, And so here I'm trying to connect the dots, and I go like, oh, this is really not what I like. To be honest, if I had not watched the early this season, I just watched this episode, I go like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
it's fine. But like in the context of what the season has like set up, the payoff is so disappointing to me. If it is what I think it is, but if the next episode is an Ortegas episode that makes me go, "Oh my god, this is so," I go like, "Well, my bad." Like I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. No, have I been wrong before? Maybe I might have been wrong before. I can't
Paul's
remember.
never wrong.
Um,
I will say so. Karen says Beto did her dirty by recording her without her initial consent and springing the news
yeah,
about her dead roommate. He actually was dirty with a lot of stuff, like
Yeah.
he is the
like
dick.
asking Laan about the Gorn. Like, bro, like what is wrong
He's
with you?
a Breitbart bro, this
Yeah.
guy.
So yeah, and also this was so out of. He has been set up as like pretty chill, like before, like
I was a fan up until this episode. I was like,
and
that's
then,
my
yeah.
dude. Like,
Anyway,
rooting for him. And that's the other thing. Like, I guess the thing that was interesting to me is for somebody who's interested in Uhura, you've been playing this wrong a lot, bro. Like,
yeah.
you have zero game. Like,
No game.
none. Like, that's not how you do it.
Mm-mm.
That's not how you do it.
well,
Like,
Clyde,
Yet she still gives him time.
like Clyde,
Yeah.
how would you do it?
Yeah.
first of all,
Clyde, yeah, I'm
you gotta
curious.
listen. You gotta listen to her.
Everyone, quiet.
I'm just saying.
Clyde, go.
You gotta listen to her.
Uh-huh.
Right? You gotta understand who she is and what she does. Like, she has given her life. So when she starts telling her story, like,
Gotta listen
pay
to your
attention.
woman.
You got to, but you got to pay attention to what she's doing. You're talking to somebody who has basically said two things: that she's given her life to Starfleet for a mission that she believes in, and that she was lost and it has helped her find community and family again. So you need to respect that for what it is, the weight of that. And so if you are going to attack Starfleet, then you got to understand that you're attacking something at her core. It's never going to work. So if that's where you're going, then fall back, Cap. Like, fall back.
Can I bring up some comments here real quick, Clyde?
Yes.
I just want to acknowledge Choopy's Hot Freak. I love the dedication to the documentary format. I really like this ep. It hit me surprisingly emotionally. Someone else it hit emotionally. So we're hearing that. And then again, Kern says a wildly divisive episode among the Trek community. So yeah, pretty divisive.
Yeah, no, I'm if you had a positive experience with the episode, I'm not crapping on you. Like, this is not, you're not
Same.
wrong. You're not wrong. This is not me saying, I'm saying this did not work for me, and I am never wrong.
There's some moments that I absolutely love, right? Like the interview with Mbenga. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many things with Mbenga that I love.
Anything with that character and that actor, when the show gets even just a little bit, it cracks beneath that top layer with him. That's gold. It's gold because he's got a lot of darkness in there.
Yeah, but and I think him having the choice to have him explain that the space Mothra didn't want to be a weapon anymore, I can understand in retrospect. Now, as I take a step back, I can see how that touched people because it was a big moment, right? And he was the right person to shepherd that dialogue, right? I think
is Space Mothra basically the Iron Giant? You go, you are not a gun.
But I think also, part of the thing that I thought was an interesting choice is you pulled this crew together to go do this thing. So you've chosen Uhura, you chose Chapel, and you chose Spock to go into danger on a shuttle and talk to the space kaiju.
But you know that these people have like plot armor, right? So like the invulnerable plot armor. So what tension can you really have?
But they can get hurt emotionally, Paul.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no.
okay. But we've seen them at some point be very well-rounded, healed, and whole people. So
Word.
Well, speaking of that, I like that we didn't like center on Spock in this episode,
Mhm.
even though he was doing a very big Spock thing that we've seen him do in other Star Trek stories, which is doing a very risky mind meld with a potentially hostile creature.
Sure.
Like we did see him do that here, but the focus wasn't on him. It shifted more to Uhura,
Yeah.
doing the mind meld. I appreciated that. I was like, oh, we're gonna see Spock mind meld with like some outer space creature again. Okay, but that kind of ended really quickly, and it shifted to Uhura actually taking on the risk and doing that, which actually made it more dramatic for me, even though I know she has plot armor. But I like that shift.
what if it was like, what if the three people who went in the shuttle were like La'an, Samuel Kirk, and
Sam has plot armor.
Sam does have plot armor. So maybe
Yeah.
La'an, Mbenga,
Pelia.
and not
Pelia,
even
yeah.
Pelia. You know what would have been interesting? Random ensign on the bridge. What's her name? Like
Mitchell.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
Mitchell.
yeah. Yeah, because I like Mitchell. Yeah.
Right. Like if they were the three on there, I might have been on the edge of my seat.
Oh yeah,
I might have been like,
I could see that.
It made sense plot wise for them to be the ones.
sure.
I
Spock is
get
the
it.
one who mind melds. Chapel's the nurse. She's going to take care of him. Uhura's the communications expert. Makes sense. But
But
yeah.
and it would have been interesting with oh man, just lost it with Ortega's. But what if you took the people who were hurt and damaged already, right? So you've got La'an and you got
They're all-
Ortega,
They're all damaged.
right? But you who are struggling with some stuff, and even maybe an Una, but you've put them into this position where now they're in danger, both physically and emotionally. I wonder if I just would have connected, and I might like.
I
you know,
think you're
and I'm a crier, so it doesn't take much.
I think
I'll
you're
cry.
basically pitching to be part of the writers' room, Clyde. I think that's
Nope.
pretty good.
No, I know my
think you
lane.
got it.
I know my lane, and it's from this side of the table.
No. I mean, I think like I feel like the episode itself was not the focus. Like the A plot wasn't the focus. Like the focus was the documentary. And I think the plot itself, like, because you're just jumping around from interview, here's the interview, something plot happens, interview, plot happens. And so I think what happens is that people get less thorough in that plotting. Like, for example, like none of these stuff that I really like when Pike is talking to the Admiral, that it is redacted, I go like what is Starfleet getting for doing this? I have no idea. We still have no idea. And it doesn't feel like here, like, I'm sorry, in like Deep Space Nine, Pale Moonlight, Cisco winds up like, convincing the Romulan Empire to basically join the Dominion War. Once again, Cisco, biggest killer of all Starfleet officers, billions of people on his hand. That's that much blood on his. No notes. But like here, like, Starfleet is doing something that is redactable. But what are they getting? And like, I'm just confused. And so it feels muddled as opposed to like, oh, mystery. Like,
I'll say this. Here's what I thought I got from that.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't so much about what Starfleet was doing, but again, if we think about where this is supposed to take place in the canon of everything, I think it was establishing Starfleet captains, especially of the Enterprise, as I know I have my orders, but I do what's right.
Sure.
Like ultimately, I'm going to say all the right things. I'm going to say, well, Starfleet, we follow orders. It's about, structure and yada, yada, yada. But when it comes down to it, I'm going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But then that's what I was trying to get.
Right then? Like, here's basically this race going like, we need Starfleet, we need you to weapons transport for us. That's effectively what's happening, right? We would like to. We've made this super weapon that's going to help us win the war because we're losing, and we need this super weapon. Hey, do you mind taking it over here so that we can, so we can use it? And for whatever reason, Starfleet goes, "Yep." And then Pike goes, "Dude, like the thing's going to kill us." And the admiral under the redacted bit goes, "Do it anyway."
It's like, we need you to continue the plot, man.
And so I'm like going, what the hell? What's happening? Like, and it causes me interest to go like, oh, is this going to pay off? But I never get that, and it feels like you can have ambiguous endings, but like unclear motives and stuff like that. If those aren't resolved, I feel cheated. Once again,
It's funny. I feel what you're saying, but sometimes with this show, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me because I just assume that's what's going to happen. Like, oh, I don't need to understand the intricacies of this plot because it's just trying to move an emotional story along. That's not a criticism of your criticism, but a lot of times that type of thing doesn't register for me, and it really didn't while I was watching this episode. Now that I think about it, I'm like, it makes no sense why they were involved in this. Yeah,
no, like just once again, like I assume that he's talking to the admiral we've seen the whole time, right? What's his name? April, yeah. And April seems like a pretty, like, okay dude, like, I'm okay. I love Section 31. I love the dark side. Cisco, Romulan murderer, like, totally fine with that. That's how for the greater good, I'm totally fine with the gray of stuff. But like, you have to explain to me like what greater good is being served. If this is just basically, here's a favor, let me transport Godzilla for you. Like that's a little. It's just a little not my favorite.
I think what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm looking at myself and going, what's like, this is a good episode. Like, I think we all say this is a fine episode. Like, it's fine. It's good. I'm struggling to figure out why I didn't connect with it. And I'm asking myself, is it because I'm still stuck expecting Star Trek to do certain things, to hit certain notes? Because to your point, when we look at this, it was redacted. You know what I'm used to? I'm used to a Badmiral, right?
Yeah.
I'm used to a Leighton, a Alexander Marcus, a Eric Pressman. Like, I'm used to like someone that we can identify. And the minute they step on screen and because of their swag, you're like, yeah, I hate that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's
like Shaw,
so easy.
Like Shaw, like Shaw, right? How much you justifiably hated Shaw because like he just did his job. Like, don't worry about it, Clyde. Don't worry about it.
I know. I told you I came around toward the end. But when we look at these characters, it allows us to really dig in and go, no, I want you to disobey him.
Yeah.
And they didn't quite give us that. And so to your point, why not? Because you're right. If it's who's the admiral? April. You said it. April. So if it's Admiral April, then all of a sudden our opinion of April changes. So why not just give us a new Badmiral? We love Badmirals.
And you don't have to redact it.
You don't. You've given us a new villain to hate.
Like in what you call it, in Lower Decks, we had Buen Amigo, right?
Yes. Buen Amigo.
So it's long tradition of that.
But we don't have one. We don't have one here. We don't have a Badmiral.
And I understand. I understand. I'm being super critical of this episode. I'm probably unfairly so. Like I
don't think you're being unfair at all.
But like I said, it's this is episode 7. There are like 3 more episodes, and
Yeah.
the two of them are going to be one. One of them is the
Two-parters.
well, no,
What
one was
was
going to have to be the
the
Vulcan one.
let's turn ourselves into Vulcans, which I know we're gonna have issues with. So
And then we're gonna have to. And then is it gonna be 2 episodes? Is it gonna be enough for Patal to what's her name? Like that's
Batal,
her,
yeah.
For her to die and me care? I don't know.
You bring up a good point. There's a lot that needs to happen in 3 episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and so
I when a series is approaching the end of the season, I sometimes tend to think that it's like there's a lot they have to wrap up, but I think shows do fine wrapping up in 1 episode at the end. Sometimes they can
like
really,
Game of Thrones.
they can really give you a lot. Let's not talk about Game of Thrones. I'm talking about like did you guys watch The Penguin? Like that had a lot to wrap up towards the end, and they really wrapped it up really well in the last episode. So that was good. I do want to acknowledge that twice on screen and the text, we got the acknowledgement that the Freedom of Information Act is still a thing in the 23rd century, which I love.
Love it, love it.
Yes, that was great. I do also want to acknowledge more stuff about the emotionality of this episode with some stuff Chupi said. So Chupi says, I cried when the creature plunged into the sun. I teared up at Spock's running away story. I thought there were a lot of emotionally effective moments. Because I just want to, I do like the idea that this episode connected emotionally with a good amount of people out there, like it did with me. I didn't feel as emotional as Chupi did here, but it did give me the feels.
I feel like I'm gonna go back and watch this and try and cry. Like I'm gonna try and open myself up.
Not just cry. You're gonna try and cry.
I'm gonna try and cry.
Love
like,
it. Love it.
I want to feel emotion.
He's a try crier.
I'm gonna try crying. No, no. There's some moments. What it's really teaching me is maybe I don't watch this at 11:30 at night. Maybe that's not the right frame for me to watch it because I think I connect better at it.
Do you guys always watch this when it premieres, like that night?
It depends. So for me, it varies. Like if we get screeners, then I'd like to watch it a couple days ahead of time.
Yeah.
But when
we didn't have screeners for this one,
right. I knew I was gonna be a little busy today. I knew I had a lot going on, and what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to try and watch this at 7 o'clock and squeeze it in right before we podcast.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna stay up late." Another mistake, and I'm gonna watch this because we're Pacific time. I'm gonna watch it the minute it drops. That was my philosophy, but
yeah,
I think I might have been too tired to connect with the emotion. And so I don't want to do that.
It drops for you guys at 11?
11:30.
11:30? Okay.
Yeah, no, I heard the story about, Spock scraping off his skin trying to get rid of the human. And my thought was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good.
I didn't cry emotionally. I go like,
It was great imagery. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was probably because I spent too much time going like, is he doing Klingon martial arts or is that like, Vulcan martial arts? I can't tell. It looked a little bit like, the Worf thing Worf does. And so I was like, I'm, and then all of a sudden I'm just a little distant from it. I'm not really in it because I'm going like, and this is also part of the documentary format, right? Because like with that B-roll, like, are you adding to the emotionality of what's being said and done as opposed to just putting random stuff? Like that Karate Spock is not helpful in any way, to me. Like it's just like it doesn't connect to his character at all. As set up in our genre. Now, if he were dancing tango with La'an, that'd be a different thing. And speaking of which, your crush, Clyde, like she was killing it with those drones. Like like she's moving. I was going like, oh, she's looking good, moving. Like she's moving very well.
I gotta admit, part of the allure is that not only is she very just wonderful, but she's also a little scary. I like it. No, seriously though, there are 2 very subtle moments with La'an that I thought were absolutely amazing that were tiny, right? But they're like, I think these two moments, along with Mbenga, were probably the things that I really connected with the episode, and that was Spock comes into the ready room
With
and he
coffee.
hands the coffee to her,
Yeah.
and then just starts talking like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And then when she comes down and sits and they hold hands, and I'm thinking, for two people who keep talking about how this is just casual and there's no labels on it, I'm like, yeah, I like this is a meet cute, and I'm here for it. So
There's real chemistry there. Yeah.
yeah,
And for all of it, like, Christina Chong, like when this show started, she was not my favorite character. I go like, this is gimmicky, but she has really grown. Like, she has really milked what, like, for all of it, what little they've given her. Like, she hasn't been given that much, aside from like, oh, I'm lonely, and like, and now I dance, but like, she's milked every single bit, like that goodness out of it, and I'm like really impressed.
I'll say that the thing that I've noticed this season is that for her and Mbenga, they've had bigger episodes in the past.
Mhm.
And this season, their moments are smaller. A few they've got big moments, but they have a lot of smaller moments. But from an acting standpoint, they have absolutely obliterated the small moments with just little stuff. It's like you give them just a little bit, and they're like, "That's what you're gonna give me? Watch how I dominate this moment." And it's just been impressive. It's like
That's
clinic.
very-
You're literally putting on a clinic.
It's so true. I'm wanting to see a lot more from them. Hopefully, the last 2 episodes, we'll see more of the ghost unleashed, and Mbenga the ghost.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
I mean, yeah. So I've appreciated this. Like, I'm trying to figure out this evolution of Spock. So we see Spock early on in Discovery, where he was, quite frankly, a badass.
Crazy.
And I really thought that he was crazy. But I really thought that if you say who's the star of the show, everyone will tell you, well, it's supposed to be. I originally thought it was going to be Anson Mount, but it's Ethan Peck. But I'm struggling to see where they're taking him. Much like I thought they were going to go somewhere with Anson Mount, and I'm like, what? He's sitting on the sidelines, and Rebecca Romaine too. I'm like, y'all got some heavy hitters that y'all just have sitting on the sidelines. Like, I'd want to see more of Una.
It's an embarrassment of riches, right? They have too many great performers and characters with a lot of potential. It's hard to really mine that potential fairly for everybody. Yeah.
Oh, wait. I have a Paul theory.
Oh. You have what is it again? What do you have?
A Paul theory.
Got a theory. Got a theory.
I did make
A
that a
little
little
slow.
long, did I? Okay.
Mariah's a little faster than I am. I'm learning. I'm only an acting captain.
But it's great. So like in our show, like, Spock is actually really diving into the emotional aspects of his personhood. But like when we get to TOS, he is not that. Like he's very embarrassed to show any emotion, kind of thing. And he doesn't actually get to a point where he's okay with his emotional side until basically Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Like so something, if you're going to keep the canon, which not everything has to, like, something has to happen to Spock that really brings this about.
Do you want to see that though? Do you want to see this series end, or the Star Trek Year One series end with, oh, and here's why Spock is less emotional later? Like, I don't care. Like,
I feel like I
just
need
make
it.
good drama. Who cares about the canon? Right?
I mean, I'm torn because I do like this Spock, but I feel like there's a piece of me that goes, if you don't give it to me, there will always be a puzzle piece missing. And I need that connection of how does what I'm looking at now help me get to what I know.
But
right? How does Ethan Peck become Leonard Nimoy? That's what
the odds are if they try to do that, it's going to be shitty. So do you want that?
I don't know. Will it?
I think that with Ethan Peck at the helm, I trust him. I actually trust him.
If you're writing, if you're, I don't know, I feel like if you're writing a character and a story and an arc in order to fit some canon that you've been writing against for most of the time, it's gonna come out bad.
I don't know. I think I can see it like done. Like the way it would go is like something happens. Spock has to make a choice, some noble choice, where like he has to like suppress his emotion, blah blah blah, kind of like, and
that sounds incredibly cliche and pat.
And Chapel is like, but you won't remember me, blah, or some blah blah blah.
How boring!
Like to you. To you,
yes,
to us,
me.
all us canon heads, we go like, oh, this is the story of how this is how we do it. I mean, like for all of it, like I'm a person who goes, you're building on this canon, and it allows you some latitude to grow and play in this space that the universe has really spent a lot of decades allow you to play in. Like the least you could do is respect it, because otherwise like you wind up like a little bit kind of like, I don't want to crap on the other shows, but like Picard, like really you start a bunch of stuff and then like like you're like,
so okay, so Paul, do you feel the same way about Kirk? Like how do you get from plain water hot dog to swagalicious?
Well, here's the thing. Like I'm like, that is a clearer path for me. Like right now, like I can see
they started out this Kirk writing him that way, and here's the journey. Yeah,
I can see a journey of just like, and Mariah had her theory, like he's gonna lose someone, like probably in a really messed up, broken way that's gonna mess him up, and so now he's just going sleeping with every alien in episode after his heart is broken, and you just excuse that bad behavior. I can see that.
And here's how we're gonna know that has happened, because we're gonna see him with a hot dog with relish, some mustard, maybe a little sauerkraut on it, and he's gonna be like, "This is the best hot dog I've ever had." And then he's just gonna be pimping, like it's just
like if I
Jordan in the background, it's gonna be.
If I had, this might hurt you, Clyde, but like if I had to just do it with the pieces I had, I go like, oh, she's gonna dump Carol. Carol's gonna be pregnant and create Genesis later. He's gonna hook up with La'an, and they're gonna fall madly in love, and La'an's gonna die. And then he's gonna go like, this is like, and she's gonna die, and it's gonna be his fault, just like James Bond, and then he's gonna be busted.
Paul,
and see that?
Why do you hate me? Why do you hate me, Paul?
That would work. That would work because that's how they've been writing this character. Like they already created the relationship with Lon, and yeah, I think that would work great. Because I feel like they started
all of a sudden now you're like, oh yeah, I'd love to see this the point by numbers get to canon.
no, the point is I feel like they've started writing Paul Wesley's Kirk with the let's get to canon in mind. I don't think they did that with this Spock, which is fine.
We'll see. Like
what sucks. Here's what sucks.
That I hate you.
No, that I think you're right. Like what sucks is I think you're right. I think that if they did that, that wraps up the Kirk storyline, the La'an storyline. It wraps it up really, really well. Actually,
it's pretty tidy. Yeah,
like it works. It works well, and I hate you for it. Paul.
Phasers on kill.
Well, here's hoping they'll shut Lon to an alternate universe where she'll live out her days.
That's right.
In a very ballroom dancing fashion.
Yes.
In a gun,
all right.
In a phaser range gun dance studio. There we go.
All right. Well, we've been going about an hour, and I just want to make sure. Anybody got any final thoughts about this episode?
It was fine. Do better.
Well, for me, like like this is probably the episode I've most like been critical of. This is by in the series, but like, this is by far not like my worst episode in the series. Like this is
Yeah.
a totally fine episode. It's just that like you're putting a premium on my last 4 episodes, of the season.
In fairness, until you said it, Paul, I forgot that we were getting closer to the end, that we were that close to the end. And so I'm actually looking at it and going, oh man, like that, I'm disappointed. Like to your point, we're nitpicking at this point, but it's from a place of admiration.
And there are a lot of nits to pick. But if this was an episode on any other show, I'd go like, yeah, that's fine. And I did with this show too. Yeah, it's fine. It's not going to make me stop watching.
And I wouldn't be opposed, like if we were hanging out with our Patreons and our Slack channel, which you can join for $2 a month. I would watch this episode again. I do a watch along with the group. Like I'm not gonna hate the episode. I'm like, I'm not watching that. I would. I prefer to watch the salsa dancing episode, but I'd watch this episode.
Cool.
Me too.
All right. Well, hopefully Mariah will be back next week. Glad she stopped texting and driving. So be safe out there. We love you, Mariah. Until next time, live long and prosper. I can't do it. So mata asta to everyone, and we will see you next week.
Peace out.